Here's the issue. Women, if you look back at what women wanted in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s, and you'll try and say, oh, they want, voting, abusing women. No, these things were never, abusing your wife was never something that was so societally accepted. That's not patriarchy. No. Patriarchy was they were the ones who voted for women to have a right to vote. Most women didn't want the right to vote because of the responsibilities that it came with. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is what women wanted out of life in the 1950s, 1940s, and specifically what they wanted out of men has changed decade to decade so dramatically, whereas what men want from women is still the exact same. And that's why many of you are finding yourself in a scenario where you're unhappy. And you realize that the wool's been pulled over your eyes, where now they control your kids and hormone blockers, and they're teaching them critical race theory, and they're giving them books with kids in strap-ons at the Virginia School Public Library. And all of a sudden, you've been taken for granted because something, vulva, right? So let's go through some of the primary gripes that I hear women often complaining about today. And this is now from the feminist movement that have been created, a self-fulfilling prophecy. One, okay, here you go, that women are being sexually objectified. You hear this a lot. This is a problem now, right? And you have the era of Me Too. And again, men need to clean house with Me Too, right? It's men who need to kick the ass of rapists. Hey, by the way, do you want to know what happened? See how rapists and child molesters do in prison. Yeah. Even violent male criminals aren't huge fans, just to be clear. There's a reason Weinstein kept it to himself, outside of, Matt Damon.
Well, I think Weinstein's going to have no issue in the rape department.
No. It'll be a rape cornucopia.
Yes, they may beat him daily, though.
Yeah.
Just because, he's a slob.
He is absolutely disgusting.
He's just tough to look at.
So women are sexually objectified. Well, look, I would agree with that. I think that's a problem that we have now that we certainly didn't have back in the 1940s, 50s. I'll say 50s for the sake of argument here. Because a lot of times they say, MAGA means go back to the 1950s, which is racism and sexism. But now they're going, we can't find a man on college. Okay, on college campus. All right. Yeah. Feminists were the feminist movement, okay? And when I am saying this, I'm talking about the feminist leftist movement. And unfortunately, because women value empathy over conflict and resolution in many ways, you know this if you're married, they've allowed feminists to run wild. So I'm not saying all women, but I am saying this is a problem that has been created exclusively in the female community. Feminism lauded the sexual liberation movement. Yeah. This coincided with birth control, right? They said, hey, free sex, right? Free sex, free love. That was the idea. And guess what? You let men off the hook. This didn't come from men. Now, men have always wanted to have sex with as many women as they could because that's the way that they're biologically hardwired, right? For example, look at gay couples. Promiscuity is almost non-existent. Why? Because everyone just says, yes, all the time. All the time. It was women who civilized men and said, no, you got to put a ring on it, right? That was how it used to work. A man used to have to court, romance a woman, and then get married, and they would be engaged in a sexually monogamous relationship. Here's another complaint that we have.
The second one was part 2.
The issue is the stopgap was removed from carnal sexuality. And now a lot of women are upset that, and rightfully so, I agree with you, that a lot of men are this is what's happening, the golden penis syndrome, they're playing the field because they have more options. And an underlying theme here that you will understand is that women have, throughout the decades, tried to increase their value in the romance and in the dating marketplace in ways that they see men add value. But it doesn't add value to a man. What do I mean? Women have said, well, I'm a professional career woman. Well, men don't care. Women say, well, I make a good income. Men don't care. Well, I have a college degree. Men don't care. You value that in a man. A man still values the same things in general, when polled: kindness, being attractive, nurturing, loyal. These are things that are not going, men don't say, does she make a good income? Women see that as valuable because that's the role of protector and provider, whether you want to admit it or not. And so you've tried to increase your value through being more like a man. It's just like having female action stars. Like, well, how about you just have, that's why Queen's Gambit was great. You had the best female chess player. Fantastic. There's no reason that can't happen. Why? Because women can be just as good at chess. Women cannot, you can't beat someone's ass with a high heel. You're going to get your ass kicked, okay, Charlize? So you try to empower women by telling them to be more like men. Yeah. Here you go. Now men aren't all that interested. And that brings me to another point. We hear this a lot, that men will not commit, right? This is a complaint among women. And you know what? It's actually true.
Yeah, we saw it in some of the chat questions. I've been dating somebody for 4 or 5 years, and I'm like, wait, what? That shouldn't happen.
And this is true. Men are not willing to commit. Why? Again, this goes back to point number one, the sexual revolution, right? And marriage just isn't also seen as a winning proposition. This is something that's important. A lot of people don't understand, too. It's increasing expectations in marriage of men, where men used to be the provider, men used to be the protector, and women would be at home with the children. And now it's also you share all the household duties. Also, you're Mr. Mom at home. And also, if I leave you for any reason, I'm going to take half. This is a part of the feminist revolution. And so men say, well, you know what? That's a risk that I don't really want to take. Women, these laws were changed by women. These ideas were championed by women. Men never wanted it, to be clear. Just like they don't want a woman today who's 35 with a gender studies degree in student debt to be the mother of their children. Turn back now. Here's another one that you see a lot of women now, too, when they look at the dating pool. You can read this in the golden penis syndrome. Men don't make enough money, right? It's really tough. I can't find a man who makes enough money. Well, look, okay, why do you think that is? When feminism pushed the idea, and not only pushed the idea, denigrated the idea of single-income households, a stay-at-home mom, they pushed the idea of a dual-income household.
Yeah.
It was considered, to feminists, less respectable, to the point where a lot of women decided, I'm going to take pride in your job. Absolutely. But take pride in being a mother, too. Take pride in being a wife, too. Do you not want your husband to take pride in being a good husband, being a faithful husband, being a loving husband? The qualities that you admire in a man? Take pride in being a wife and a mother, not just a career. You can take pride in either or, but generally speaking, not both. You can't have it all. And so when you change this, women, just to be clear, what they're seeing now is a lot of men sort of going into the job pool as women used to. So before the 1960s, women
bosom buddies.
Yes. Women used to, a lot of them were teachers. When they say women weren't allowed in the workforce, no, women were teachers. Women made up the majority of nurses, things like assistants, secretaries. Now, why? Not because they weren't qualified, not because men were trying to hold them back. And I'm sure there's some of that, but a big reason was women back then valued flexibility over, say, pay, being a CEO, traveling. Why? Because that would take them away from their kids. And at this point, society and humanity recognize that women are generally happier when they're close with their children and can spend time with their children. As women's share of household duties has consistently gone down, so has their happiness. I am not saying that bitch should be happy if you were cleaning the floor. What I am saying is that as women have started to make more money, as women have been allowed at record rates into STEM fields, whether qualified or not, because many women don't want to enter into these fields, they are becoming less happy because they are realizing that it's not as fulfilling as the lie that feminists sold you. What is fulfilling? Seeing the first smile on your children's face. Having a warm house and home, taking pride. You can still work. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm saying that as women have increasingly placed a premium on work, they're becoming less happy. It would be just like if, let's take an extreme example, if all men today were stay-at-home dads, they didn't go to work. Guarantee you male suicide would be higher. Guarantee you depression would be higher. Because you know what? That's not what we were designed to do. And it would be a monumental shift.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.